We're back with a review of security situation in the country. We're joined now by retired Brigadier General Ajano to talk us through some of what's going on this morning. A couple of minutes of business.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Thank you. Well, thankfully, at least for some days now, we've had, relative quiet. But while that is going on, those who are also putting their heads together to ensure that things are sorted out, perhaps permanently for this country, security-wise. While so many families are also putting out the thought for all those who have lost their lives in this.
Definitely.
But looking ahead, because we've talked about a lot of what we should do, how we should go about it.
That's right.
Is anybody listening? Are they doing anything to ensure that all what is being said is being done?
Yes, I believe that definitely the government couldn't have been sitting on its ass. And of course, the commanders of the various arms of the force must have been doing a lot, knowing that the problem on our hand is not yet fully solved. Even though we've had a relatively quieter period in the last couple of weeks, but it's not that we haven't had incidences. A couple of days ago, it was in the headline of a Punch newspaper, Boko Haram slaughtering people in their dormitories and things like that. That means the problem is not yet over. And one thing about this situation is that there is no specific strategy that anybody can point out as the be-all and end-all type of approach. And I say that because of the fact that I have come to a conclusion. Boko Haram is up to guerrilla tactics. And in guerrilla tactics, it's not easy for organized force to combat precisely and definitely. There are a number of other factors that have to come in.
But don't you think that intelligence can perhaps forecast or predict some of the likely actions that they may be taking or targets?
Now, intelligence, how is it gathered? How is it collated? How is it reported to give a good lead? If you understand what I mean by guerrilla warfare is organized, but not organized along the lines of stable big forces. What they do is to break into small groups, group of 3, group of 4. Take, for example, the group that went to bomb Kano Central Mosque. There were probably about 2-3 people. So when we talk of intelligence there, could it have been as a result of intelligence failure that those 3-4 people escaped the eagle eyes of the security people and they were able to make their way to their target and detonated? Because that is the stage at which we are now. Wherever they are operating in small groups.
There's also this stage where we've seen the rising cases of female suicide bombers.
That's
but
right.
You remember at that time, some time ago, some people did ask, wait a minute, does it mean that those, any time we hear cases of abducted girls, possibly this? But then there was that report wherein one of the persons who was called said her father actually took her to the place and asked her if she wanted to go to heaven and read that. So 2 separate scenarios there. Parents taking their daughters, and then those who were abducted, are we also going to see them being used for such?
Yes. One thing, a peculiarity of guerrilla warfare is, 1, to defame the sitting government and possibly to establish some form of political authority. It's not a new thing. It has been happening over the years. In virtually every theater of war, you find at one time or the other, some people who have very strong political views gather some rebel houses around themselves, arm them, and they break into small groups and do things like this. Now, we have gotten to a stage where Boko Haram was claiming territories, flying flags and things like that. That shouldn't have been tolerated, but that was what happened. And one other thing is that the way guerrillas operate is that they want to watch what government does. And the policy is when the government attacks, they withdraw, they run away. When they seem tired, they attack.
With the benefit of their more
Yes.
in perhaps government or something.
That's right. You see, because of the small units into which they break, they have the flexibility to move in and move out. I remember the last time I came around, because I thought it was an organized force. That was the time they were flying flags and all the rest of it. I thought, you could face an area and deal with them. But from what I have seen now, it's a guerrilla warfare, and it is a very, very difficult thing to combat. We must also don't forget the fact that the girl that was taken by her father and used as a sort of a bomb, suicide bomber, of course, probably she had no choice. An underage girl.
13 years old.
She has been told that everything about Islam is you kill all infidels and get to heaven.
It means there could be more cases like that.
Yes. The people who are involved in active Boko Haram activities are definitely, people
So
who...
how will security deal with that kind of situation?
It is difficult. That's what I'm telling you. It is a difficult thing.
It's difficult, but it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible.
The question is, they realize that with this kind of battle, we cannot do it without the people.
Yes, that's it.
How are we involving the people in our architecture?
Precisely. That was what I was going to start talking about. That there are other factors for counter-insurgency, because what the government is doing is counter-insurgency. And in counter-insurgency, it's not just fighting. You're going to convince the people. The political aspect has to go on. The economic aspect has to go on. The intelligence has to go on, trying to identify so many supporters who are not even necessarily armed, who are collaborators. They house these people. For example, the people who went into Kano to bomb the Central Mosque slept probably overnight in the Kano city with their sympathizers, knowing fully what they were going to do. And they left undetected, and they walked to the mosque just like every other person going for prayers, and then got to a vantage point and detonated. That's it. It's a guerrilla tactics.